Hi there. So this is my haul from the National Free Comic Book Day. Uh, some of these I'd heard of, and some of them are new to me. I think that's part of the point of free comic books, to give a chance to familiarize yourself, if you're a comic book fan, with maybe some things that are less. Well, this is some crucifixion looking stuff. Oh. Oh. Uh, okay. Humanoid. A humanoid being crucified. Love it. Maybe that's symbolic. Maybe it's just that these humanoid drones are going to sacrifice themselves like little saviors. I don't know. That's kind of cool. I really am more into the artwork than the actual story so far. But hang on, let me get these out of this bag. Okay, now I did buy this one. This is the previews, the comic shop's catalog. Uh, and But when I bought it, the guy at the counter threw this, what was it? This. And it was serendipitous because I wasn't expecting it. Captain America, Fantastic Four, some Marvel stuff. So free previews, all that. So that's kind of neat. He's kind of put it in. I actually paid for this one. So that's kind of cool. Lets you know what's coming up. Now, we have GeekCon coming here in August. That's 3 months from now. I've already talked about that a little bit. I don't know which came first, Black Mirror, the comic book, or the TV series. There's a TV series about it. It's an anthology about the Black Mirror, right? Or whatever. I guess. I haven't watched it. I've heard of it. The artwork in here looks well done, but easy on the eye. So some artwork, and it's not colored. It's for a startup comic venture, and sometimes it's a stylistic choice that you don't have a colorist, because that's far more expensive than producing something like this. And this is just a promotional. So I don't know what came first. I'm assuming that the TV show, and I don't even know if this is related to Black Mirror, but possibly is. I don't know. Season 3, episode 4, or series 3, episode 4. I don't know. But this is the comics code, by the way, that when comic books started to blow up, they had to self-regulate, or the government was going to step in and regulate. Same as films. Films had to have what they called the Hays Code, and then a rating system to follow. And so, you know what a PG movie was when I was growing up? Steven Spielberg had some power behind this, because you had what is on this? Okay, that was just something. I was like, what is? I noticed a white in the grain, but it went away. But I was like, I don't know, what is that? I think it's just like a dust from these pages. Okay, but you know, well, my sister went to see Jaws when she was a child. She went with my mom's brother, and yeah, they took her. Uh, I was too young; I wouldn't have appreciated it, but they took her, and so that was great. But then, the artwork here is great. Unlike the Black Mirror, this is a very busy. This is it's very much for the eye to take in and look at. So that I'd have to take my time and tear apart, or pick apart, really study each panel to really take in what's happening. Lucifer's Pool of Souls. Okay, whatever. I don't know. But so that was this Big Rig. Post Malone. You know who's gonna love this is my friend Lucy. She's got a Post Malone thing. And then Conan the Barbarian, still big. There were some of these last year. A couple of Conan things that I got. So Arnold was perfect for that character. I wonder what the character looked like before Arnold Schwarzenegger did the movies. But apparently he was a near perfect. Like his casting was all nearly as perfect as Christopher Reeves for Superman. So okay, so this is Find Your Dark New Fear or whatever. So let's see. 30 Days of Night. I've seen the movie, and was it a game? Was it a comic? Was it a graphic novel or something? I don't know. Like when these things today, I love it because, well, actually, no, it always was from the beginning of video games. They would cross media like Tron. With there was a movie and then a tie-in video game. Then we had Pac-Man, which had tie-in children's cartoons, and Pac-Man Beaver was everywhere, merchandise and everything. Uh, so yeah, around the time when video arcades for gaming uh, became like is this the Howard the Duck kind of thing? I don't know. Probably not, but that would be cool. I'm gonna have to check it out. A dog, look. Some of the great artwork that you think or that you would not expect. And this is the, if you want to get in touch with this comic book store here locally, there they go. And they would not mind me letting you know that this is where you can get in touch with this stuff. So, but if you really want to see some of the great arts, get a good quality comic book. This is just promotional stuff. But yeah, get a great graphic novel or comic book. You're going to see some great work. A lot of this stuff is like they'll just give you a sample story, the equivalent of a modern strip, like that used to be in the Sunday papers. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but yeah, a small thing. So this Diablo, why does he look like Conan? But whatever. And yeah, they especially make these for the free comic book days. But yeah, look at this artwork. You really, if you could do this level of work, you would probably, and you editorial, anybody, if you could do that level of artwork, you're going to get up there. So this is Star Wars. There's Liam Neeson. There's Luke Skywalker. I know he's been in other movies and everything, but always, always he's going to be Luke Skywalker to me. Mark Hamill, yeah. Corvette Summer, right? Was he in that? Yeah. And he was in Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic. That was a after school special kind of thing, but it was or one of those things, a teen movie, television movie marketed towards kids to steer them away from becoming alcoholics if they could, and to educate that alcoholism is a disease that can affect anybody, right? So, and give statistics that it maybe I don't know. It's a bit dated. Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic, but Linda Blair plays the lead and does a great job in this movie. And then, of course, we have, she's dating Luke Skywalker secretly because the parents are like blaming him for one of her drunken things or whatever. but alcoholics and our secrets. Uh, I'm actually a recovered addict. So. But what? Oh, Mark Hamill. I saw him in a movie that John Carpenter produced. It was an anthology, and I think he was in the second or the third segment. I think it was the second. Anyway, but he was a baseball player, and he had lost his eye, so he had gotten a ooh a surrogate eye from a cadaver, and it's that same story about getting the donated hand or the donated something that takes control. With this eye, takes control, and so Mark Hamill, he becomes very violent uh, with his wife and just those around him and everything. But at one point, it's a pretty violent sexual encounter, and it's a rated R movie on Showtime. But just for a split second, and don't watch the version on YouTube. Actually, go and watch the movie, and I think you can get it on Fandango or something like that. But if you watch it, you'll see, if you're like me, if you want to, you will see Luke Skywalker, uh, balls and all, straight up into it, and what should not be uh, in an R-rated movie for just a split second is in an R-rated movie, and there is absolutely no way. There's no room for doubt of what's happening, and method acting that is right up there with an X rating. And then, of course, in later showings, they edited that out and they toned it down. But no, that first, it's like, oh my God, how did they get that back past the censors? And so it's a moment that it's like, wow, we just saw Luke Skywalker having full on, straight up, hardcore sex. That's what it is. So no, this is not going to be made for this video here that I'm talking about is not for children. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so Liam Neeson, genre, and he's actually a franchise hopper. Let's see. And most actors who play like in one particular sci-fi or fantasy franchise will turn up in multiple genres and franchises. And so, we used to be like loyalists because it used to be, okay, so sure they have other work, but they're not genre films particularly. So we have James Earl Jones doing, the voice of Darth Vader, and that's who he is. And there's no room for much else, right? And then, of course, a couple of years prior to that, he did Exorcist 2, again, with Linda Blair, and he was the adult Kakumo who wore the, I don't know, grasshopper suit. Oh, a koala or whatever this is. Rat, maybe, reading cards. And I love sometimes people who like to be all sophisticated. They'll say, these are tarot cards. Just call them tarot cards. I mean, you don't really have to put on an air in the way that you speak, especially if you're Southern like I am, and every other word is like, Southern accent, and all of a sudden, instead of just the traditional tarot card, you're pronouncing it as tarot. It's like, no, it's not. You're not. It's not a syndrome. That you swear a lot, and make weird noises, unless saying tarot is a tick. It's tarot card. Just run with it. Okay, so the Phantom. Now, Billy Zane was at last year's GeekCon, right? And of course, most recently, since that time, I think most recently he did a turn portraying. Oh my God! And I will say he was looking the part. An older, who was the guy? God, I know his name. Classic Hollywood actor James Dean, adored him. Oh my God, and he was in Streetcar Named Desire. You know, hey Stella. Um, he was Kal-El's father in Superman. Jarrell. It's gonna come to me, but anyway, he was playing that actor. Uh, in a project he was doing that was kind of based on it. And we know who we're talking about. I know that you know who I'm talking about right now. You're probably screaming out the name of the actor. And give me just a moment, it will come to me. Um, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and talk and proceed and look through this. I'm loving this. The Phantom basically is kind of a Batman. He's kind of got gadgets and things like that. No real superpowers, but he's got gadgetry, and then the identity gets passed down from generation to generation. Each Phantom, as he, you know, gets too old for this shit or whatever, he finds someone else to be the new Phantom. Little Doctor Who-ish, little Marie Laveau-ish, uh, and yeah. My God, look at this Wildcat. Oh no, they're not going to shoot this thing, are they? Oh my God. I don't know. But I forget the properties of this, but it's primarily a lot of gadgetry, and there may be a little bit of communication uh, with the nature's animals out in the jungles and everything, because this is one of the first ones I grabbed. Monsters. And this basically, what am I looking at? Sort of a, looks like to be a little inspired by the Universal monsters, a werewolf, zombie, Frankenstein, perhaps Dracul, whatever the hell that's supposed to be. Um, and what is this? Mark Spears. Is he doing a pull on Pennywise? Is this an evil clown, or does the evil clown play on your fears? This looks like Pennywise. But I don't know. No, fun e-bones. So basically, kind of a rip. This guy looks like, I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get in here and play around and study these things, but I do like some of the things, and definitely. Hold on. So maybe to get more into the. Hey, look at this. Be kind, please rewind. That is so funny. Um, hey, a true classic never goes out of style. There's Fantastic Four, which I was like, let's get that, because is that a duplicate of what I have over here? No. Okay, cool. It's not the same one. Okay. First, we're going to go with Superman here. Superman Unlimited. I don't know. What'd he do? Soak up as much sun rays as he possibly can, and then release all of the sun's energy out of his cells at one time, directed at somebody. It's a pretty powerful dude. Like, I just had this image of him just like, flying around doing so much. You know what's so cool? Or not cool, but kind of a there's always a wrench in the monkey in the machine. Monkey wrench. There's always a wrench in the machine of a plot as things go on. Initially, Superman as Clark Kent, uh, or Clark Kent or whatever, he basically took the job at the Daily Planet in a major metropolitan U.S. city so he could know what was going on all over the world. Much later on, was it Superman 4 Quest for Peace? Does it go back that far? At some point, at some point, uh, Superman takes Lois way up into the sky, where I guess she can still breathe, but maybe they're not that high up. But anyway, and he confides in her that he can hear everyone and everything on the planet. So can he hear everything? But then also need to be where he can find out what's going on in the world of news. I don't, like if you can hear everything all the time, why don't you just like tune in and find out, tune your direction and listen in on where, you know what I mean? It kind of makes needing to work at a newspaper and then later on a TV anchor where your face is all over the TV. So let's hope they don't get an image of what your face looks like. See, the the newspaper angle worked because you see his face was hardly ever revealed publicly, um, except for in photos and pictures and whatever. 1932, there wasn't even television in people's homes, so it kind of worked for that time. But um, as a TV anchor, surely he would get more recognized. So anyway, that's the wrench in the plot device there. That if he can hear everything in the world, then he does not need to actually work in a venue where he can know everything because he already hears everything. It's, one of these days, maybe they'll work that out. There's a thing, I forget what it's called in fiction where, uh, and it's not retconning. It's a self contradictory where part of your plot that comes later on is self contradictory to part of your basic narrative of the story that's being told or whatever. So, and it's not a matter of perspective; it's a matter of, um, wow, just I don't needing at this one point needing the properties to be this, and then another part of the plot you need it to be that. There's a term for that, where the plot seems to self contradict itself, and there's really no way out of it, no way to explain it. Uh, I feel like, oh my god, I feel like Annie Wilkes, but he didn't get out of the cock-a-doodie car, And but anyway, what is that? Is that a Fantastic Four? Is that Johnny Storm not catching on fire? How does he catch on fire and not burn all the hair off his body anyway? I've seen what fire does to hair. I've used to work in cosmetology. So here we're getting into some X-Men. I think I don't know how I'm going to feel about this new Fantastic Four, but I did tell my sister, she was with me at the comic book day, hey, you got to get the Fantastic Four. The movie's about to come out, and you got to get the Superman because the movie's about to come out. Spider-Man's always in fashion. You know the classics. You definitely want to get those if they have something that's marked for a free comic book day. Great. But then yeah, look at the artwork, and then of course, yeah, uh, Stranger Things. So kind of like the Black Mirror. I wonder if whatever. Let's. Do you think it's in color or black and white? Color. I did not watch the and I'm told that I should. To me, the whole plot just kind of seemed they started and it was strange, little bit eerie Pennsylvania, but kind of souped up a little bit like a modernized, and maybe a little bit more towards the mature teen audience or whatever. So I don't know. And here they just look like Garbage Pail Kids. Oh, you guys remember Garbage Pail Kids? That's what I need to start collecting again. Those things were awesome. Do they still have those? God, I'm such a weirdo. I used to stick the stickers everywhere. All go out and look for the most perfect Trapper Keeper with the most 80s design I could think of, and then put Garbage Pail stickers all over it. So find the perfect design, cover it up with whatever. Sure, Sabrina the Teenage Witch was from Archie Comics. Most of us knew that. Did you also know there was a... No. Josie and the Pussycats was Hanna-Barbera. I don't necessarily know that she tied in with I don't necessarily know that was an Archie tie-in. I think because there was the Archie comics they were a band of their own called the Archies, and there was even a band that took the name the Archies so they could do the soundtrack of you know that song, honey honey, da, 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 you were my candy girl and you got me wanting, that song was done, that was the Archies. So VR Troopers. Okay, I've heard of this. Oh, and there's there are these great giant action figures they have all over the place and models and stuff. So it's Excalibur is a great place to go. I don't know, no Al Capone. These boys are reading an Al Capone vampire. To be honest with you, I would love to read an Al Capone vampire. Look at the great artwork that's done. You know what I love about comics? And I'm not going to say that it was always awesome. Uh, and it's far from it because a lot of time they're still just side characters. But when I started to see and understand diversity as a child, uh, well, it was I was in third grade and I was going to uh, a school, elementary school that was very uh, very blended. Had a lot of different cultures, and as a white child, I was in the minority. That didn't bother me so much. That really didn't. Um, and then, but that's when I really started getting into comic books, and I would start seeing, you know, characters drawn, basically probably not to be uplifting, but probably just to break up everybody looking the same. I would start seeing, you know, characters of different minorities brought to comic books, and there was a lot to work out and a lot of stereotypes to break down in that. But comic books, that's where I started to see the barriers come down first. Because even in my school, uh, you know, uh, and then I walked through our projects. There was a place called Wilkeson Terrace, and it was huge, huge. It was kind of like, uh, you know, gangs, drugs, everything. But there was this little old lady that used to sell penny candy out of her apartment, and uh, and we could buy it with our lunch money. Had the little cigarettes that you could blow smoke out of, and then they were gum on the inside of a paper wrapper, and then you could puff, and little powdery smoke would look like it was smoke, really, but it was just powder would come out of the end of the cigarette, and so we thought we were so badass. And you could get those. You could get the cigarettes with a little red lit end on it that kind of tasted chalky. I didn't care for those. I liked the gum, but yeah. But you only get like one or two puffs per cigarette. It was genius because what you do is you would blow out the puffy smoke and get a couple of puffs on it, but then you'd have to rush and eat the gum and chew it and be done with the gum and spit that shit out so you could turn around and pick up another gum cigarette so you could blow more smoke out. It was basically Hubba Bubba wrapped up. Remember Hubba Bubba gum? You guys don't. Maybe it was like the gum wrapper, that bubble gum that came in individually wrapped, but you'd start chewing it and it would be hard, not candy hard, but very firm, and then it would soften up the more you would chew until it turned into, something happened. Then it turned into just a big mess, a hard, firm mess in your mouth that lost all the elasticity and you didn't want to chew on it anymore. So it was kind of like there used to be this big tub and they would call it Pud, uh, like putty or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, almost like a gum taffy kind of thing. This is cool. I wanted to look through and talk about Archie some more. The ties that bind. I don't know. Betty and Veronica, the bond of friendship. This is the cover of this looks more drawn to be mature. When you get inside, the artwork changes. So whoever does the cover art is doing maybe not the same artist doing the work on the inside, or let's see, because that is not the same as this here. It's but I love that. But that's why cover art is so great with comic books. A good cover will sell a comic no matter what's on the inside. And I use Free Comic Book Day to think about what it is that I want to buy. And then I normally buy some sort of comic book or something shortly after at GeekCon. And then if I don't see what I want at GeekCon, I use my experience at GeekCon to know what I need to look for at Free Comic Book Day. So, I know at some point here I started talking about, one of the earliest examples that Americans had of anime, Street Racer. There were some other forms, but this was the one that really gave us that melodrama feel. Uh, oh, Godzilla and the new heroes. Let's see. Um, this dude right here is about to get his ass handed to him. He's going to be running away looking like that. Hell yes. Okay, this is a well drawn. I just randomly turned it. It's kind of a cross between fantastic art and pretty good art, you know. But you get that. Some panels in a comic book are very detailed, and some of them are less detailed. Uh, yeah, even when I'm drawing or painting, I do a little different. Okay, so that's about it. So it's a pretty good take, and most of these, everything that had the free comic book day logo on it was free, and the couple of things here, actually, I think it was just one volume that I actually bought. Uh, Basically because I just don't have a tremendous amount of money earmarked for extra stuff. I do, but I'm committed because I am paying for. I'm committed to 2 trips in October, and I've got to have them both paid for pretty soon. So extra cash flow money is not the thing. But you make your priorities when you have like your entertainment budget, and sometimes you have to choose, and you can't do everything. You find creative ways. Cinco de Mayo, there's going to be some stuff going on, and what else? Ooh, uh, Art Break is wrapping up this weekend. It may already be wrapped. I don't know. But then, and that's a student. It's a fair of student artists uh, of all ages. And then we have the art walk. If the weather's pleasant, I'll go. If the weather's unpleasant, i.e., if it's raining, I'm not going to go. It's as simple as that. And I do try to think about and get something. It's going to be around the Lake Street area. So, um, I think my friends at Appliques inside of Shreveport, they changed the name from Appliques to Shreveport Trading Company, but they're officially the same business. It's the same couple and everything like that. Uh, so yeah, they're good people. And I was in just the other day to get kind of a preview of what I might want to get, and I need to always remember to ask for and look for refrigerator magnets. I need refrigerator magnets, cool ones. Uh, and love guitars. And yeah, okay. So actually, in a little bit, I'm going to go to Sam's Club. If you've never been to a wholesale shopping like a Sam's Club or Costco, I've not been to a Costco, but I've been to Sam's Club. We don't have a Costco here, but yeah, going into a large place like that is almost, to me, like going to the exhibits at the state fair or something like that, especially if I haven't been in a few months. Um, awesome. Um, okay. I will stop bursting at the seams about all this stuff. I am a super duper geek. I'm thinking of going to see a movie if it won't be when it first comes out, but I'm thinking of, depending on if it works out in a couple of weeks, going to see Thunderbolts. And why not? I mean, they're, Bucky, right? Who is every bit, people forget, he is every bit as super serumed as Captain America. Like he's long lived and super power, super strong and everything like Captain America, and draws his power from the Tesseract, and to boot has a metal arm. So I don't know why he's been relegated to sidekick in the MCU thus for going forward. So why is Captain America an Avenger, and why is Bucky the Winter Soldier one of many Winter Soldiers we found out? But why is he? Why are any of those Winter Soldiers that were given the same Tesseract exposure and to varying degrees of success, of course, but really, yeah, why? Why? Sometimes I just want to know why. One of those things I was talking about where there are plot devices that seem to contradict other plot devices, and there is a name for that, a specific name, that faux pas that happens in creative writing. And that's one of the things that when I'm writing, and I am writing more with the idea of releasing fiction. I have a sequence of releases that I want to do. I want to do short form poetry, then be, releasing. I'm from Louisiana. We say be a lot. We be. Then I want to be releasing. Oh yeah, I want to be releasing. My short fiction. Short stories. The art of short story, which I love. Short story is a very free, liberal form of creative writing. It's a lot more forgiven than an actual long novel. You can get the short novella that's kind of cool, just barely a novel length or something like that. You can get a good read out of that and find it a quick read. It's really good, interesting, and you'll be done reading it in 2 or 3 days, possibly. But those big, long, epic, large, 1,300-page novels, those are the things that get into such detail that they are not forgiving. So you cannot do something like that and be lazy with the writing, because you'll end up getting people like Annie Wilkes who exclaim, "He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car." Talking about the serials that she watched as a child. Anyway, so, which by the time the movie came about, Misery, that was in, the early 1990s. And because it was the early 1990s, serials in the movie theaters, they were already out of, Annie Wilkes would have to be old as shit by that time, but Kathy Bates was not old enough. I don't think that she would have been like, I don't know, she looked young in that one, I don't know, it's weird. It's like maybe she just was pretty in that movie. When you get to, her first scenes or whatever, before she goes like just ape, on the guy, but anyway, I don't know that in the novel, she would have been old enough to have seen the serials, the Flash Gordon serials, but they were already being homaged as a thing of the past in the 70s, with the movie Flash Gordon, with Star Wars, and people. I was watching this movie Fanboys, and the very end of the scrolling titles, they're like, "We don't know where these blah blah blah, where they're going or whatever, where they come from or whatever. But that whole idea, it all comes from Flash Gordon. I think they were the ones that had the crawling titles that told you what was happening between uh, episodes at the early matinees. But that was my father's generation, and I don't think that people of the Annie Wilkes generation of the movie, I don't think she would have been watching serials at a Saturday matinee, because I think by then they already didn't have that. Okay. I mean, they barely had drive-in theaters in the early 80s. They were going out of fashion. So um, they need to bring those back. They were fun. Love and light. Peace. Ciao, Bella.